I know, finally, animals that you actually see in zoos, the vertebrates. Of course, I hope by now you have been able to appreciate the invertebrate animals shown to you. Vertebrates are a subphylum of phylum Chordata, but they are the most recognizable and well-loved of all animals in existence. Even my own educational background is heavy with course and research in vertebrate biology. Perhaps the interest lies in their larger sizes, more conspicuous presence, and relatedness to us. At 62,000 species, they make up only 5% of the animal kingdom. Amongst vertebrates, there are 6 to 8 different classes based on different interpretations of relatedness amongst groups. For example, some biologists classify birds as their own group, while others place birds as another group of reptiles due to their genetic and morphological similarities that birds share with the now extinct dinosaurs. It's hard to imagine, but the Tyrannosaurus rex and modern chicken are close relatives. Our ancestral mammals were food for many dinosaurs, and now they are finger-licking food for us. Boy, evolution can be a real bitch sometimes. These next 2 episodes are devoted to vertebrates, and so we will begin with the ones that rely heavily on water, the fishes and amphibians. The largest group of vertebrates are the fishes, which are actually divided into 4 different classes composing 31,000 species. In fact, the first vertebrates in existence were jawless fish. Yep, they lacked that bottom jaw altogether, but instead had a mouth that resembled something out of your worst nightmares. Vertebrates evolved from invertebrate chordates like lancelets, with the jawless fish introducing a cranium, or bone surrounding the brain, and complex sensory structures like eyes. The most ancient of jawless fishes were the extrachoderms, which had bony armor, but today's jawless fish lack that armor. The 2 classes of jawless fish that exist today are class Myzini, or hagfish, and class Petramyzontida, the lampreys. There are 67 known species of hagfish, which are eel-like and really slimy. The sliminess is a defense mechanism used to prevent the fish from being captured by predators. Hagfish are found worldwide in saltwater habitats except at the poles. They scavenge dead or dying organisms by entering their bodies and eating them from the inside out. Seriously, a jawless fish monster horror movie needs to be made. Hagfish have skeletons made of cartilage, not bone, and have a notochord, as seen in lancelets. Recall that a notochord is a flexible rod that supports the nerve cord. This becomes the vertebrae in most vertebrate animals. Although they have a cranium, they are not true vertebrates as they lack the vertebral column. So the name vertebrate can be a bit misleading. Even though all groups but hagfish have vertebrae, vertebrates as a group are classified as chordates with crania. Lampreys, with around 40 species, is a true vertebrate with vertebrae. During embryonic development, all vertebrates convert their notochord into a vertebral column to protect the dorsal nerve cord, which is our spinal cord. Lampreys have incomplete vertebrae and retain the notochord as adults, and like hagfish, they have a cartilaginous skeleton and are eel-like. Their toothy funnel mouth is used to help it suck onto surfaces in high-running streams and suck bodily fluids off of other fish species. You listening to me, Hollywood? Get to work. Later in evolutionary history of vertebrates arose the jawed fishes. Jaws allowed fish and other vertebrates to grab onto prey, and in later vertebrates chew their food. Jaws likely arose from the first few gill arches in jawless fish. Class Chondrichthyus, also known as the cartilaginous fishes, consists of sharks, rays, skates, and chimeras. This group has paired fins and a skeleton made of hardened cartilage, but not bone. Most cartilaginous fishes are marine, but there are a few species, such as freshwater stingrays, that do exist. With few exceptions, like whale and basking sharks, which are filter feeders, most cartilaginous fishes are predators that feed by swallowing prey whole or tearing it to pieces. Sharks have placoid scales, which look like miniature teeth and feel like sandpaper when touched. It is thought that shark teeth evolved from a row of these scales in their mouths. There are over 1,000 species of cartilaginous fishes, most of which are harmless to people. Shark and stingray attacks are very rare at less than a dozen per year, and most are completely preventable. Never swim while bleeding. Wear shiny jewelry, or if sharks are present in general, just don't be there. And never provoke stingrays. Sharks have a good sense of smell and can detect electromagnetic fields by special electroreceptors on their face. Most fish have a lateral line, which is a series of scales sensitive to vibrations in water. Basically, this is how the organisms hear. Stingrays and skates are flattened with pectoral fins fused to the head and gill slits on the ventral surface. Another group of cartilaginous fishes are the chimeras, also known as the ratfishes. They lack scales altogether, and teeth are modified to be grinding plates used to feed on invertebrates. And so while cartilaginous fishes introduce jaws to the vertebrates, bony fishes are the origins of a bony skeleton. With 30,000 members, they are the largest group of vertebrates that exist. The bony skeleton is produced by specialized cells called osteocytes, which take calcium and phosphorus to harden bone, just like us. Their skin is covered in overlapping scales which produce a mucus to help with hydrodynamics. And like cartilaginous fishes, they also have a lateral line system, but use their eyes to find prey rather than use of electrical currents. All bony fish use gills to breathe, with water going over the gills to collect oxygen. There is a protective operculum that covers the gill openings, which is not seen in cartilaginous fish. Bony fish also have a swim bladder that collects air and helps them maintain buoyancy. It is thought that vertebrate lungs evolved from this particular organ. Bony fish can be divided into two classes, class Actinopterygii, or the ray-finned fishes, and class Sarcopterygii, or lobe-finned fishes. Ray-finned fishes are named for possessing bony spines called rays in their fins, which may cut you when fishing. Lobe-finned fishes have fleshy fins supported by bones. Lungfishes and coelacanths are living members of lobe-finned fishes, and some even use lungs to take in oxygen. The evolution of vertebrate life on land can be linked to an extinct lobe-finned fish called Tiktaalik, which had a functioning upper arm bone, allowing the fish to travel from pool to pool over land. A specific group of lobe-finned fish were able to develop lungs and clumsy but slightly stronger fins and to digitize limbs. These became the amphibians, which are the first of the tetrapods, or four-limb vertebrates. Amphibian is Greek for double life, since most amphibians have an aquatic fish-like tadpole stage and an adult terrestrial stage. Many amphibians existed deep in the past, but today we know them as frogs, salamanders, and a really strange group called caecilians. Amphibians evolved over 350 million years ago during the Devonian period, and since there was less vertebrate competition, this was known as the Age of Amphibians. All amphibians must live near water or some form of nature, but some are able to live their entire lives in damp soils or rock crevices. All amphibians have skin made by mucus glands, allowing the amphibian to absorb water rather than drink it. It is one way in which amphibians breathe. Respiration is also achieved by the lungs in terrestrial adult species or gills in the tadpoles or fully aquatic species. However, some amphibians lack lungs altogether and breathe directly through their skin. As adults, amphibians are carnivores, with some having sticky tongues to capture prey. They also have small teeth at the edge of their jaws. Amphibians have well-developed image-forming eyes with color vision. Ears are also found, but best developed in frogs, where they have an external tympanum or eardrum. Their tympanum is attached to an auditory bones which transmit vibrations as auditory messages. Frogs especially need this tympanum as a means to hear those sexy males croaking all night long. There are over 6,700 species of amphibians found in three separate orders. First is order Urodela, or the salamanders. These animals appear most similar to the ancestral amphibians, having 4 limbs and a tail. They can be completely aquatic, semi-aquatic, to fully terrestrial as adults. Although there are 620 species of salamanders worldwide, most of the amphibian species in Kentucky are salamanders. In fact, the Great Smoky Mountains and much of the southern Appalachians have the greatest concentration of salamanders in the world. Salamanders have small and weak legs, making them more fish-like in their movements. Most salamanders are lungless, relying on their skin to breathe by the use of costal grooves. Others have gills or lungs only, or sometimes both. Salamander reproduction is done internally, where males and females have elaborate courtship displays. Now, around 80% of all amphibians are frogs, order Anura. Anura means without a tail. They vary in size, but have a similar body plan with a squatty torso, long hind limbs for jumping, and large eyes. To avoid predators, many frogs have camouflage, or they produce toxins in the skin to just make them taste awful to predators, up to and including killing predators. Frog reproduction is done externally and in the water, where females lay their eggs in water and males deposit sperm. Their eggs are jelly-like and laid in masses. Most frogs do not have parental care, but a few will carry tadpoles on their back or allow them to develop in their backs. Look, if you really want to look, check out Suriname toads. It will trigger those with trypophobia. Ugh! Frogs have elaborate life cycles where they start off as tadpoles with gills. They undergo metamorphosis by growing legs, losing the tail, and replacing the gills with lungs. The last group of amphibians is less known, even to scientists. They are order Apoda, which translates to without feet. Commonly called caecilians, and appear as and are mistaken for segmented worms. These segments move moisture all over the body to assist with breathing. Found only in the tropics worldwide, and they exhibit a fossorial lifestyle, meaning they live underground, but there's a few species that do live in aquatic habitats. They have internal fertilization since they live in drier conditions. Most bear live young, with some laying eggs. So fish introduce crania, vertebrae, jaws, and bones with specific group evolving into amphibians to give vertebrates 4 limbs. Unfortunately, all these groups were wholly dependent on water or moisture for all aspects of their life. The next groups of vertebrates introduced a new characteristic that allows vertebrates to be completely independent of water as a habitat: the amniotic egg.